Please let me stay. I'll give you what no human woman could ever give alien Plea. Wind screamed across the frozen plains of ardent moon. Snow blew in endless waves, hiding the gray sky and the cold silver rocks beneath. Inside a small outpost made of steel and light, a man named Eli Ward sat alone at his control desk. He was a human engineer, sent here to study energy storms and record signals from deep space. For 6 months, he had seen nothing but storms, silence, and the white emptiness outside. His coffee had gone cold. The heater made soft clicking sounds, and the screen before him flickered. It was another long, lonely night. He sighed and leaned back, whispering. Another signal lost, his voice echoed in the empty room. There was no one to answer. Eli liked silence, but sometimes it felt too heavy. He missed the sound of people talking, the laughter from Earth, the music in the city streets. Here, only the wind spoke, cold and cruel. Still, he told himself he could handle it. He had a mission to finish, and he was not the type to quit. As he adjusted his headset, a faint sound came through. At first, he thought it was static. Then, through the crackle, a voice whispered, soft, shaky, and strange. Please, let me stay with you. Eli froze. He turned the volume higher, his heart beating faster. The voice continued, weak but clear. I'll give you what no human woman ever could. He blinked, confused. Was this a prank? A signal reflection? A trick from the storm? He checked all systems. No other outposts were nearby. No active transmitters on this channel. The sound came again, desperate this time. Please. I'm freezing. A chill went down Eli's spine. This voice didn't sound like a recording. It sounded alive, real, afraid, and close. He stood up and looked through the frosted window. All he saw was the endless white. But then something moved. A small glowing figure staggered through the snow, about 100 meters from his door. It was humanoid, but too bright, too smooth. Like light trapped inside glass, Eli's instincts screamed at him not to go outside. But something in the voice, something soft and trembling, made him grab his coat anyway. He pulled open the airlock and stepped into the storm. The wind hit him hard, tearing at his face and suit. He could barely see ahead. The light flickered again. The shape was on the ground now, half buried in snow. He reached it and knelt beside it. It was a woman, or looked like one. Her skin shimmered faintly blue under the ice. Her hair looked like silver threads glowing in the dark. Her eyes were closed, her lips moving as if she was trying to speak. When he touched her shoulder, she flinched. Her eyes opened, bright and shining like stars. Don't let them take me, she whispered before collapsing completely. Eli didn't think twice. He lifted her into his arms. She felt light, almost weightless, and carried her back to the outpost. The wind roared behind him, as if angry that he was taking her away inside. He laid her on the small bed near the heater. Her skin was freezing cold, but smooth like glass. He scanned her body. The readings made no sense. Heart rate unstable, body temperature too low for life, yet she was breathing. He looked closer, noticing faint symbols glowing along her neck and arms, alien markings, shifting like waves. Who was she? What was she doing here? Eli tried to call mission control, but the comms were down. The storm had cut off all contact. He cursed softly, then looked back at the mysterious woman. Her eyes moved slightly under her lids, without knowing why. He felt sorry for her, whoever she was. She looked scared and hurt. The wind outside grew louder. Lightning flashed across the sky, painting the snow in blue and white. For a moment, Eli thought he saw shapes moving in the distance, dark shadows against the light. He tried to zoom the camera feed, but the signal went static. Then the woman gasped and sat up. her eyes glowing bright again. She looked straight at Eli, her voice trembling but strong. "They're coming." Eli frowned. "Who's coming?" "The ones who made me," she said, her voice breaking. "You must hide me." "Please." Eli took a step back, his mind racing. He wanted to ask 100 questions. But before he could speak, the alarms began to flash red. The radar picked up something approaching fast, multiple signals. Surrounding the outpost, the woman's hand glowed brighter as she grabbed his arm. "Please," she whispered again. "Don't let them take me." Outside, through the storm, Eli saw a beam of light sweep across the snow. A ship, silent and black, hovering just above the surface. The ground trembled. The storm howled louder, and in that moment, Eli realized his life was about to change forever. He looked at the strange woman, this alien who had appeared from nowhere, and saw fear, sadness, and something else in her eyes, something human. He didn't know why he believed her, but he did. He turned toward the control panel, locking down the outpost and cutting all external signals. "All right," he said quietly. "You can stay. But you better tell me what's going on." The lights flickered again. Outside, the black ship slowly descended through the storm. Inside, the alien woman whispered softly, "Thank you, Eli. Thank you for letting me stay." The screen showed red warnings, systems failing one by one. The storm outside raged like never before, and in that blinding chaos, something ancient and alive had found them. Eli didn't know it yet, but this was the moment everything changed. The moment when the line between human and alien began to disappear. Gentle reminder, dear listener, if you enjoy stories of mystery, emotion, and strange worlds, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. More parts are coming soon, and you won't want to miss what happens next. The storm outside didn't stop for 2 whole days. Eli Ward had never seen anything like it. The wind screamed as if the moon itself was crying. Lightning rolled across the sky, painting the frozen world in silver and blue. And inside his small metal outpost, the strange woman, the alien, slept silently. Her skin glowing faintly in the dark, Eli watched her from the control desk. He hadn't slept. He couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw that black ship in the storm, the one that had come looking for her. He still didn't know who they were. He only knew they were powerful, and they were hunting her name. She had whispered before falling unconscious again, was Siren. Eli didn't know if that was her real name, or just a word that sounded like one. But when he said it out loud, it echoed softly in the cold air, like music. He scanned her again. Her body temperature was rising slowly, her energy levels strange and unreadable. He had worked with alien tech before, but never seen anything like this. Her DNA structure wasn't fully alien. It looked human at least. 70% human, that made no sense. He leaned closer, whispering to himself, "What are you?" Suddenly, her eyes opened, bright and silver like liquid metal. Eli stumbled back, startled. Siren looked around slowly, her voice soft but clear. "Where am I?" "You're safe for now," Eli said, his tone cautious. "You're on Outpost 47, Ardent Moon, human territory." Her gaze locked on his face, curious and almost sad. "Human territory," she repeated, as if it was a forbidden word. She sat up slowly. Holding her head, Eli noticed her hands. They glowed faintly when she moved, the veins under her skin shining like threads of light. "Who were those people chasing you?" he asked. Siren looked down, her voice breaking. "They're not people, Eli. They're my creators." "Your creators?" "Yes," she whispered. "They built me." "From you?" Eli frowned. "From me?" "From your kind," she corrected. "Humans." He didn't know whether to laugh or run. "That's impossible," he said. "Humans and alien species can't." They can, she interrupted, her voice trembling. They already have. Eli stared at her. Silent, she looked away, touching the glass wall of the outpost, watching the storm flash outside. They take the best parts of your kind, strength, emotion, hope, and mix them with their own, she said quietly. They call us the bound, half-human creations made for war. Made to obey. The words hung in the cold air like poison. Eli's stomach twisted. Why did you run away? Siren looked at him then, her glowing eyes filled with fear and something deeper, sorrow. Because I learned what they planned to do next. She took a deep breath, her voice shaking. They're studying Earth. Eli, they're already there. Hidden among your people, preparing something huge. Eli's heart skipped a beat. That's impossible, we'd know. No, you wouldn't, Siren said sharply. They use your satellites, your communication systems, your science against you. She turned to him, her tone desperate. You have to believe me. He wanted to believe her. But this all sounded too big, too strange. Then the radar beeped. Eli turned quickly, new signals flashing on the screen. Something was moving through the storm again. Right above them, his hands shook as he increased the zoom. 2, maybe 3 heat signatures fast, circling the base. They found me, Siren whispered. Her voice was calm, but her eyes glowed brighter. How can they track you in this weather? Eli asked. They can feel me, she said. I'm linked to them through energy. They always know where I am. She stood up, weak but steady. Unless I blocked the signal. She pressed her hands against the metal floor. A soft hum filled the air. Blue light spread across the walls like veins of fire. Eli's screens flickered, sensors went offline. What are you doing? He shouted. Hiding, she said, but it won't last long. The room filled with pulsing light. Eli covered his eyes. When it faded, Siren was on her knees, breathing hard. Her glow dimmed to almost nothing. Eli ran to her, holding her shoulders. Hey, stop. You're hurting yourself. She looked at him weakly and smiled. I'm used to pain, she said softly. It's the only thing that ever made me feel alive. The storm roared again outside. The shadows above the base moved closer, ships scanning, searching. Eli felt helpless. He had no weapon that could fight invisible enemies. No backup, no communication, no plan. Only her. He stared at her, still glowing faintly on the floor, and realized she was their only chance to survive. What if they find us? He asked quietly. Siren looked up, her eyes glowing faintly blue. Then we run, she said simply. And we keep running until there's nowhere left to hide. Eli swallowed, his chest tight. He had never run from anything in his life. But now, looking at her, this strange, broken creature made from both alien and human blood, he knew he couldn't abandon her. Something in her voice, in her eyes, felt human, too human. Suddenly, the base shook. A blast hit the outer wall. Alarms screamed red. Eli ran to the control panel. Shields are down. They're breaching the perimeter. Siren stood, her body glowing brighter now. They're coming for me. Not you, but they'll destroy everything to get me. She turned to him, her expression calm, almost sad. If I stay, you die. Eli faced her, his voice firm. I'm not letting you walk out there alone. She smiled faintly. You humans always say that. Before he could answer, another blast shook the base. Ice and smoke rained from the ceiling. Siren's eyes glowed white, her hands lifted, and the lights across the room surged. For a moment, Eli saw symbols appear in the air, like ancient writing made of fire. Then a beam of light burst from the floor. Expanding outward, the base filled with energy. The air itself trembled outside. The attacking drones froze in midair, caught in the blinding wave. Eli shielded his face, shouting, "What did you do?" Siren's voice echoed softly, "I called their power," and turned it back. The explosion that followed was silent, a wave of light expanding across the storm. When it cleared, the outpost still stood. The attackers were gone. Only the endless snow remained. Eli dropped to his knees, gasping. The air smelled like burnt metal. And Siren lay motionless on the floor. Her glow gone, he crawled toward her, shaking her shoulders. "Siren! Hey, wake up!" No response. Her body was cold again, outside. The storm was calming, quiet, peaceful, almost beautiful. But Eli knew peace never lasted long on this moon. He looked down at her and whispered, "What are you?" Her eyes flickered faintly open, and she whispered one last word before fainting again. "Connected?" Eli froze, his heart racing. He didn't know what that meant, but deep inside, he could feel it. Something inside him had changed. Something that wasn't human anymore. Hours passed. The storm outside had finally gone quiet. But the silence felt wrong. Too heavy, too still. Like the moon itself was holding its breath. Eli Ward sat beside Siren, watching the faint light under her skin flicker and fade. He had tried everything. Oxygen, heat, even a mild electric pulse, but nothing worked. She lay still, her hair like silver threads across the pillow. Her body looked fragile, almost human, yet the machines beside her kept showing impossible readings. Her heart rate moved like music, up, down, gone, then back again. Her energy signature danced across every frequency he knew. Eli rubbed his tired eyes, whispering, "Don't die on me." Not after all this. He looked at the cracked window, outside. The snow shone faint blue under the light of two distant suns. No movement, no drones, no signals, but deep inside, he felt something was still out there. Watching, waiting, he opened the base logs, trying to record what had happened. Every entry flickered, showing static symbols he didn't understand. Strange curves and letters that glowed for a second, then disappeared. Eli frowned. His fingers brushed the console, and suddenly a soft spark ran through it. The monitor flashed bright white. And for just one heartbeat, he saw her eyes on the screen. Looking at him, he stepped back, shocked. Then he heard a whisper. Not from the room, but inside his mind. "Eli." He froze. The voice was soft, distant, but familiar. "Siren?" He whispered aloud. There was no sound in the room, but the voice came again. "Yes, I'm here." Eli looked at her body, still motionless on the bed, yet he could feel her near him. "How are you doing this?" Her voice echoed gently in his mind. "I told you. We are connected now." "Connected?" "When I saved you from the first blast," she whispered, "I had to link my energy to yours. It's the only way we both survived." Eli ran a hand through his hair, pacing the room. "So now you're inside my head?" "Not inside," she said, "just near." Her tone was soft. "Like a breath of wind in a dream. You can hear me because our minds are touching. It's dangerous, but necessary." Eli's heart raced. He didn't understand how, but her voice felt real warm, full of emotion. He could even feel her fear, her sadness, her exhaustion. It was like his thoughts weren't fully his anymore. He sat down slowly, whispering, "What are you afraid of?" Siren's voice grew faint. "They will come again." "Who? The ones who made you?" "Yes," she said. "They never stop. Once they mark you, they follow forever." "Why me?" "Because you helped me," she whispered. "And now, you're part of me." Eli looked at the radar. For a few seconds, everything was clear. Then 3 red dots appeared on the screen. Moving fast toward the base, his stomach tightened. "They're here," he muttered. Siren's voice turned sharp. Eli, listen carefully. Don't fight them the way humans fight. What does that mean? Your weapons won't work. Only our link can stop them. Eli stared at her still body, unsure whether to believe her or not. Then the first blast hit. The entire outpost shook violently. Metal screamed, lights flickered, alarms flashed red. Outside, something moved through the storm. Dark shapes, floating, half invisible. He grabbed his rifle, ran to the main door. But as soon as he aimed, the gun jammed, frozen by a strange pulse. EMP, he cursed. The machines went dark, screens cracked. The base humming with strange blue light. Another explosion, closer this time. Panels fell from the ceiling, sparks flying. Eli tried to drag Siren's body toward the emergency shelter. But her eyes suddenly opened, glowing like fire. She looked at him, weak but determined. Eli, she whispered aloud now. Let me help you. You need rest. No, she said, her hand trembling as she reached toward him. We can't win if we stay apart. Her fingers touched his chest. A shock of light burst between them. Eli gasped. His body burned with heat and sound. He could feel her energy flooding through his veins. Every nerve lit up like lightning. The pain was sharp, endless. But inside, it was something else. A sense of power, of connection. His vision blurred. He saw flashes of stars. Strange cities, alien laboratories, filled with glowing creatures. He saw what she saw. He felt what she felt. And somewhere deep in his mind, her voice whispered, breathe. Just breathe with me. He exhaled. The pain softened into warmth. The air shimmered, and suddenly, he could see the drones outside through her eyes. Small black machines moving fast, invisible to human sensors. But now, glowing like embers in the storm. Siren's voice guided him. Focus on them. Eli, your energy is mine now. He lifted his hand without thinking. Light gathered around his palm. Bright blue. Alive, he pointed toward the window, and a pulse shot out. The first drone exploded in silence, crushed by invisible force. Eli fell to his knees, gasping, What? What did I just do? You used what I gave you, she said, her voice shaking. But it's too early. Your body can't hold it long. The second blast hit the base. Throwing him across the floor, Siren screamed, the sound echoing both in his ears and inside his head. Her body arched, glowing brighter. Eli! Take my hand again. He reached out, their fingers met, and the world around them vanished. He found himself floating in light. No walls, no floor, only endless white. Siren stood before him, no longer weak or broken. Her hair flowed like silver fire, her eyes filled with stars. This is our shared space, she said softly. Between your mind and mine? He looked around, amazed. What do we do now? She smiled faintly. We fight together, in the real world. Their bodies pulsed with light. The outpost's metal walls glowed from the inside. The attackers outside tried to break through, but the energy around the base exploded outward. A silent wave of power spread across the snow. The drones shattered like glass. Vanishing into the storm, when the light faded, Eli fell forward, gasping for air. His vision dimmed. Siren collapsed beside him, her glow flickering weakly. The outpost was in ruins, but still standing. Sparks fell like tiny stars from the ceiling. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, softly, Siren spoke again. You're changed now. Eli looked at her, his voice barely a whisper. What do you mean? She touched his cheek gently. You're part of me, and I'm part of you. Eli stared at her glowing eyes. And deep inside, he felt something new. A second heartbeat. Not his own. Outside, the storm began again. But this time, it didn't sound like the wind. It sounded like something alive, calling their names. The world was quiet again. Too quiet. Eli Ward woke up on the cold metal floor of the outpost. His body heavy, his mind burning like fire. The smell of smoke and burnt wires filled the air. Flickering lights painted the walls in red and gold. Outside, the storm had gone, replaced by a soft gray sky. But Eli knew peace never stayed long on this moon. He tried to stand, his hands trembling. Pain shot through his veins like lightning. He grabbed the table for support, his breath sharp and uneven. His reflection flashed in the cracked metal panel. He froze, his eyes, they were no longer human. The pupils glowed faintly blue, shimmering like the stars above the ice. What? What did you do to me? He whispered, but the answer was already in his head. Siren's soft voice, echoing inside his mind. I saved you, Eli turned. She was sitting near the generator, her hands folded on her knees. Her silver hair glowing faintly in the dim light, her face looked peaceful. But her eyes, those eyes, told a different story. They were full of sorrow and guilt. Eli's voice shook. You call this saving? I can feel you, your thoughts, your heartbeat, even when I try not to. Siren stood slowly, her glow brightening. I didn't plan this, she said quietly. But our energy linked when we fought the drones. It bound our minds together. Eli rubbed his temples. I'm not built for this, he muttered. I'm human. I'm not. You're more than human now, she said, cutting him off. That's not something to celebrate, he replied bitterly. She looked down, her voice trembling. I know. Silence filled the room again. The broken equipment sparked softly. The moon's weak sunlight slipped through the small window. Eli leaned against the wall, trying to steady his breathing. Every heartbeat echoed twice, once in his chest, and once in hers. He could feel her emotions like waves, sadness, confusion, fear, and something else, something he couldn't name. It scared him more than the storm. Why me? He asked after a long pause. There were millions of humans on Earth. Why did you come to me? Siren looked at him, her voice a whisper. Because you were the first one who didn't shoot, he blinked. Confused. When I was escaping, she continued, I crossed 100 signals, 100 human outposts. All of them opened fire when they detected me. Her eyes softened. But when I called you, you listened. Eli turned away. I just thought you needed help. That's what made you different, she said gently. You saw me, not the weapon they made me to be. Her words hung heavy in the cold air. Eli didn't know how to respond. He wanted to hate her for what she'd done to him. But when he looked at her, at the glow under her skin, at the sadness in her eyes, he couldn't. There was something too human about her pain. The radar beeped suddenly, breaking the silence. Eli ran to the console. 3 new signals. Far away but closing in, he felt Siren's panic hit his chest like a wave before she even spoke. They found us again, she whispered. Eli clenched his fists. No, he said firmly. Not this time. He began typing on the broken terminal, connecting wires and rerouting power. What are you doing? Siren asked. Calling for help, he said. The old military beacon? If it still works. It'll send a distress signal to the nearest human patrol. She grabbed his arm sharply. Her eyes wide. Don't, he looked at her. Startled. Why not? They'll come for me too, she said, her voice shaking. Humans won't save me, Eli. They'll destroy me. Eli hesitated. Then what do we do? Siren took a deep breath. We hide deep below the ice. There's a place my people built long ago. Before I escaped, Eli frowned. A base? She nodded slowly. If we reach it, we can block their scanners, but it's far. And dangerous. Before Eli could respond, Pain shot through his head. Like a knife of light, he fell to his knees, gasping. Siren rushed forward, grabbing his shoulders. Her touch burned and comforted at the same time. "I told you," she said softly. "Your body is changing. Your mind is trying to handle the link," Eli groaned. His vision splitting in two. For a second, he saw through her eyes. He saw the frozen wasteland outside, saw the glowing shapes of alien ships above the clouds. He saw his own face reflected in her mind, and behind it, something darker, something watching them both. "What was that?" he gasped. Siren's voice broke. "They're inside my memory. They can reach through the link if we don't protect it." He forced himself up, breathing hard. "So they can track us through you? And maybe through me now too," she nodded weakly. "I'm sorry, Eli. I didn't mean to bring this to you." Eli looked at her, his expression hard but calm. "Well, it's too late for sorry," he said. "We're stuck with each other now." Siren looked down, silent. Then she said quietly, "There's a way to strengthen the link, to stop them from reading our connection." Eli hesitated. "What way?" She looked at him, her eyes bright and trembling. "It will hurt you," she warned, "and it might change you more." Eli took a deep breath. "Do it, Eli. I said do it," he snapped. "We don't have time." Siren stepped closer, her hand rising slowly. Her fingers brushed the side of his neck, and warmth spread through him like liquid fire. The room filled with light again, soft, pulsing, alive. Eli's heartbeat doubled. His thoughts twisted into hers. Images flashed. Stars, machines, war, loss, and then something gentle. Siren's memory of standing under a sky filled with color, her laughter echoing across a silver sea. Eli gasped. "You were happy once." She smiled faintly through tears. "I was free once." Then the pain came, sharp, endless. Eli cried out, clutching his chest. But through the agony, Siren's voice steadied him. "Hold on, Eli. Hold on to me." The world exploded in light again. Every surface in the outpost glowed with symbols, ancient and beautiful. When the light faded, Eli collapsed into her arms, unconscious. Siren knelt beside him, tears glimmering like liquid glass. She could feel his pulse, strong but uneven. His body shimmered faintly, his veins glowing under the skin. He was changing faster now, and for the first time, she realized what she had done. She hadn't just linked with him. She was turning him into something new outside. The first alien ship appeared over the horizon, dark, silent, and vast. It hovered above the ice like a shadow of the gods. Inside, machines hummed, scanning for energy. The leader's voice hissed through the static. "Target located. Hybrid confirmed." Siren looked out the window, fear in her eyes. Then she whispered to Eli's sleeping form, "I won't let them take you." Her hand glowed brighter as she placed it on his chest. The air vibrated softly, and far above, the alien ship's sensors went dark, for now. The night was not quiet anymore. It was alive with sound. Engines rumbled in the sky, deep and thunderous, shaking the frozen ground. Eli opened his eyes slowly, his body heavy but alive. The faint blue light still glowed under his skin. He could feel Siren's presence inside his mind, warm, protective, and scared. He looked around, realizing he was still in the outpost. The walls cracked, the windows glowing faintly from the outside light. Then he heard it, a distant human voice on the radio. "Outpost 9, this is Commander Reyes of the United Earth Forces. We've received your distress signal. Do you copy?" Eli froze. The beacon had worked. Help had come, but not the kind Siren wanted. Siren appeared from the shadows, her silver glow faint but trembling. Her eyes looked sad, almost broken. "They found us," she whispered. Eli looked at her, confused. You mean the aliens? She shook her head slowly. No, Eli, your people, for a moment. The air felt heavier. He wanted to be happy. He wanted to believe that the sight of a human ship meant safety. But something in Siren's expression made his stomach twist. Why do you look afraid? He asked quietly. Because, she said, stepping closer, they won't just take you. They'll take me too, and they'll cut me apart to understand what I am. Her voice trembled as she spoke. And you? You'll be their proof that humans and my kind can merge. Eli stared at her, the words sinking in like ice. He wanted to deny it, but deep down, he knew she was right. Earth didn't see aliens as people. They saw them as threats, as experiments, and what he had become now wasn't fully human anymore. The radio crackled again. This is Commander Reyes. We have visual on the outpost. Stand by for retrieval. Eli could hear the sound of landing thrusters outside, the hum of energy weapons being prepared. Siren's voice entered his mind softly. They're coming, Eli. You need to choose. He stood there frozen, his mind torn in two. He looked at her glowing face, at the fear in her eyes, then at the door, where the light of the approaching rescue team flickered through the cracks. For a moment, everything slowed. Two worlds, two lives, pulling him in opposite directions. Eli turned to the console and grabbed his rifle. Siren flinched. What are you doing? She whispered. Trying to survive, he said, loading the weapon. By fighting your own people? She asked softly. He looked away, his voice low. Maybe by stopping them from making a mistake. The ground shook again. A human transport had landed just outside. Dust and snow filled the air as a metal ramp lowered with a hiss. 5 soldiers in heavy armor stepped out, their rifles aimed at the outpost. The leader's voice echoed through a megaphone. Lieutenant Eli Ward. Step out with your hands up. We're here to bring you home. Eli hesitated. Siren placed a hand on his arm, her voice desperate. If you go with them, you'll never see the stars again. They'll use you. They'll cage you and me. Her words pierced through him. But the thought of home, of blue skies, of warmth, of people, was too strong to ignore. He stepped toward the door. Eli, she whispered, her eyes wet. He turned back. I have to know if there's still a place for me there. Siren's lips trembled. There isn't, she said softly. Not anymore. The metal door creaked open. Cold wind hit his face, carrying the smell of ozone and fire. The soldiers saw him and lowered their weapons slightly. The commander stepped forward, a tall woman in dark armor, her helmet under her arm, her eyes sharp and calculating. Lieutenant Ward, she said. You're a long way from Earth. Eli nodded weakly. Mom? I didn't mean to call you here. We tracked your beacon, she said. You did the right thing, soldier. Then she saw the faint blue glow in his eyes. Her expression hardened. What's wrong with you? She asked quietly. Eli froze. It's a long story. Where is the alien? She asked suddenly, her voice cold. Eli didn't answer. The commander raised her hand, signaling her team. Scan the structure. Find the energy source. Eli's heart sank. Wait, don't. But before he could finish, a beam of white light swept across the outpost. Siren screamed from inside. The scan hit her directly, and her glow flared painfully. Eli felt her pain through the link. Sharp and burning, he fell to his knees, clutching his head. Stop it, he shouted. You're hurting her. The commander frowned. You're linked to it, she said in disbelief. You've been compromised. Eli stood up, his eyes glowing brighter now. She's not in it, he said angrily. She saved my life. The commander's expression turned colder. She infected you, she replied. You're not thinking clearly, Lieutenant. We're taking her, and you into custody." Eli raised his weapon, his hands shaking. "No," he said. "You're not taking her anywhere." The soldiers froze. Unsure, the commander's voice dropped to a whisper. "Don't make me do this." "Ward." Eli could feel Siren's voice inside his mind, pleading, "Please. Don't fight them, not for me." But it was too late. One of the soldiers moved suddenly, aiming his rifle. Eli fired first. The blast echoed across the ice, and chaos erupted. Blue and red light filled the air as plasma bolts tore through the outpost. Eli ducked behind a metal crate, firing back, his vision blurring with each pulse of pain that came through the link. Siren's energy flared like lightning, creating a glowing barrier that shielded him. But it was weakening fast. "Stop," she cried, her voice trembling. "You're killing your own kind." Eli shouted back, "They're not giving me a choice." The commander barked orders. "Focus fire on the energy source." Siren gasped as the shield shattered, light spilling everywhere. Eli ran to her, grabbing her before she fell. "Stay with me," he said, his voice desperate. Her eyes met his, filled with sadness. "They'll never stop," she whispered. "Then we run," he said. He lifted her in his arms and sprinted toward the back exit, plasma shots whizzing past them. The commander cursed and shouted, "Don't let them escape." But it was too late. Eli and Siren disappeared into the storm, the night swallowing them whole. They ran for miles through the snow, the sound of engines and weapons fading behind them. Finally, they stopped near a frozen cliff overlooking a deep ravine. Siren could barely stand, her glow dimming fast. Eli held her tightly, his breath fogging in the cold. "They'll come again," he said quietly. She nodded weakly. "They always do." He looked into her eyes. "We can't run forever," he said. "No," she whispered. "But we can hide where even their machines can't follow." "Where's that?" he asked. Siren's hand trembled as she pointed toward the distant horizon. "Below the ice." "Where my people sleep," Eli frowned. "You mean there are more of you?" Her lips curved into a faint, broken smile. "There were," she said softly. "But if any still live, they'll know what to do." The human ships began circling in the distance again, their lights piercing through the storm. Eli tightened his grip on his weapon. Siren touched his cheek gently. "You could still leave me," she said quietly. "Go back to them. Tell them you were forced." Eli shook his head. "They wouldn't believe me, and even if they did, I wouldn't leave you." Her eyes shimmered with tears. For the first time since she'd met him, Siren smiled, not in sadness, but in hope. Then she whispered softly, "Then let's find the place where the storm can't reach us." As they disappeared into the icy mist, the human commander lowered her weapon aboard the ship, staring into the blizzard. Her voice was quiet but cold. "Find them," she said, "dead or alive, and far beneath the frozen crust of the moon." Something ancient stirred, something older than both humans and aliens, something that had been waiting for the moment two souls, one human, one alien, would unlock its light. The storm raged above, but deep below the surface, there was only silence. Eli and Siren stood inside a narrow tunnel carved through the ancient ice, their breaths forming soft clouds in the frozen air. The tunnel walls glowed faintly, with blue veins of crystal, pulsing like a heartbeat. Siren touched the icy wall gently, her fingers tracing strange symbols that shimmered beneath her skin. "They remember," she whispered. Eli frowned. "Remember what?" She looked at him with quiet wonder. "Everything that was lost." They walked slowly, the tunnel stretching deeper and deeper, twisting like the veins of a sleeping creature. Each step echoed softly, blending with the distant hum of unseen energy. Eli's body ached, his veins still glowing faintly from the link. He could feel her heartbeat echoing in his chest, faint, Fast, fragile. He didn't know how much longer she could go on. How much further? He asked softly. Siren hesitated. Far enough that no human ship can find us. Then she added in a whisper. And far enough that the truth can, after what felt like hours. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Eli stopped in awe. Before them stretched a city, silent, buried, and beautiful. Massive towers of translucent ice rose from the ground, glowing faintly with alien light. Frozen bridges hung in the air, linking buildings shaped like spirals and wings. Everything shimmered in shades of silver and blue. Siren's voice trembled with emotion. This was our home. Eli turned to her. Your people built this? She nodded, her eyes shining. Long before the war, before the humans reached the stars, my kind lived here, not as soldiers, but as dreamers. She walked forward slowly, her hand brushing over a wall etched with strange runes. Then the machines came, built by our own hands, created to serve, but they evolved. They learned to destroy, and when we tried to stop them, they erased us. Eli followed her silently. He could feel her memories bleeding into his flashes of light, voices and fire. Only a few of us escaped, she continued. I was one of them, frozen here until someone answered my call. Her gaze lifted toward him. Until you. Eli didn't speak. He looked around at the ruined city, the silent monuments of a forgotten world. He could feel something, a pulse beneath the ice, deep and ancient. It called to both of them. Siren, he said quietly. There's something alive down here. She nodded slowly. Yes, the core. What is it? It's the heart of my people, she said softly. And it's been sleeping for 1,000 years. They walked across a bridge made of glowing glass, their reflections stretching out beneath them. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became. The pulse grew stronger, steady, rhythmic, alive. Finally, they reached a great chamber, circular and vast. In the center floated a sphere of light, the size of a small ship, surrounded by rings of energy that moved slowly. The core pulsed with soft golden light, breathing like a living heart. Siren approached it slowly, her hands trembling. Eli watched her carefully. What will it do? He asked. It will wake, she said softly. If it still knows my voice. She closed her eyes and placed both hands on the surface of the sphere. Light poured out, filling the chamber. Symbols lit up on the walls, spinning faster and faster until the room glowed like a star. Eli shielded his eyes. Siren, he shouted, what's happening? Her voice echoed through the light, calm and distant. It's remembering me and you. Eli tried to step closer, but the energy pushed him back. The core's light reached into her chest, touching the same glow that linked her to Eli. Pain surged through him. The link flared with fire. He fell to his knees, gasping. Images burst through his mind, not his memories, but someone else's. He saw oceans of stars, machines consuming worlds, alien cities burning. And then, Earth. He saw humans, building weapons, launching ships, and in the background, the same energy pattern, the same blue light that flowed through Siren's veins. He whispered in disbelief. No, this can't be. When the light dimmed, Siren collapsed. Eli ran to her, catching her before she hit the ground. Her body was weak, her glow fading. He shook her gently. Siren, wake up. Her eyes opened slowly. I saw it, she whispered. He nodded, his voice low. So did I, for a moment. Neither spoke. Then Eli said quietly, the light, the energy that made your people, it's the same one that powers our machines on Earth. Siren nodded faintly. Yes, the same core essence. We gave it to the first humans we met, long ago. Eli stared at her in shock. You mean? She smiled weakly. Yes, Eli. Humans were never just human. The chamber trembled suddenly. The light of the core flickering. A cold mechanical voice echoed through the air. Unauthorized activation detected, Siren gasped. No. It can't be. Eli looked around. What is that? The machines, she said, her voice trembling. They were never gone. They've been sleeping too. The walls began to shift. Panels sliding open as mechanical limbs unfolded from the ice. Dark figures stepped out, tall, metallic beings with glowing red eyes. Eli aimed his rifle. Run! He shouted. Siren grabbed his arm. No! If we run, the core will die, and with it, the last memory of my people. Eli fired at the nearest machine, the blast echoing through the chamber. The explosion lit the walls, shards of light scattering like rain. Siren ran to the core, her hands glowing bright again. Siren, what are you doing? He shouted. She turned to him, her voice steady. Ending what my people started, she pressed her hands to the core once more. And the entire city began to shake. Light surged upward like a storm of stars. Eli felt his body lift from the ground as energy flooded through the link. He could feel her fear, her strength, her love. The machines screamed as the light touched them, their metal bodies cracking and melting. But with each burst of energy, Siren grew weaker. Stop. Eli shouted, You'll kill yourself. She looked at him, tears shining in her glowing eyes. It's the only way. He fought against the force, pushing through the burning air until he reached her. He grabbed her shoulders, pulling her close. If you die, I die too, he said. Then we'll be free, she whispered. The core pulsed one last time, brighter than the sun. A wave of light exploded through the chamber, washing over everything, for a moment. There was no sound, no pain, no fear, only peace. Then silence, the light faded. The machines lay still, frozen once again in the ice. The core's glow dimmed, soft and gentle. Eli opened his eyes slowly, the air heavy with quiet. He looked around. The city was silent once more. And Siren, she was lying in his arms, pale and still. Her glow had faded completely. Siren, he whispered, shaking her gently. No answer. He pressed his forehead against hers, his voice breaking. Please, don't leave me. Then, faintly, her voice echoed inside his mind. I'm here. But I'm not the same. Eli looked down. Tears falling, her body shimmered softly, turning into strands of light that wrapped around his hands. He felt warmth spreading through his chest, through the link, and then he understood. She hadn't died, she had become part of him. The core flickered once more, a faint golden light forming words in the air. One heart reborn. Eli stood slowly, his body glowing faintly. The link had changed, stronger, deeper, alive. He looked toward the surface. Far above, the storm still raged. And in orbit, the human fleet was descending. He clenched his fists. They'll never understand, he whispered. Siren's voice answered gently in his mind. Then we'll show them. He turned toward the core one last time. It pulsed softly, almost like it was breathing. And somewhere deep within it, something new began to stir. A voice older than any alien, older than any human, whispering, Awaken. The storm above the ice moon had finally cleared. But the sky was not empty. Human ships hovered like predators, their searchlights slicing through the lingering mist. Eli stood at the edge of the frozen cliff, his body glowing faintly blue. Siren's presence pulsed inside his mind, soft, constant, alive. He could feel her strength flowing into him. Not just her energy, but her mind, her memories, her courage. Together, they were something new. Something neither human nor alien. Something stronger. He looked down at the fleet below. the soldiers moving like ants against the ice. He could feel their fear, their expectation. They didn't understand what he had become. They didn't understand what they had awakened. Siren whispered, "Eli, they're watching you, probing your mind." He nodded slowly. "Then let's show them what they can't see." He lifted his hands toward the approaching ships. Energy flared from his veins, dancing across the ice like rivers of light. The humans froze, their scanners screaming, their machines sparking as the energy hit them. The blue glow spread outward, surrounding the cliff and creating a barrier. Nothing could pass through without his permission. The commander of the fleet, the same woman who had almost captured him, stepped forward, her eyes wide. "Lieutenant Warg, what have you done?" she shouted. Eli's voice rang out, calm but unyielding. "I didn't do it alone. She helped me." He gestured to the empty air. But Siren's presence pulsed through the link. Her voice echoed softly in his mind, "We are one now." "Commander," the soldiers panicked. Firing their weapons, plasma bolts shattered the ice. Sparks flying, but the barrier held. Eli felt Siren's energy merge with his own. Guiding his aim with a gesture, he sent a pulse outward, disarming the human guns without harming the people. They fell to the ground, shocked and frozen. The commander stepped back, astonished. This is impossible." Eli's glow intensified, his body trembling with power. "I am no longer just human." "And neither is she," he said, his voice carrying over the battlefield. "And neither of us will be enslaved or destroyed." Then, from deep beneath the ice, the core began to pulse again. A golden light rising slowly, illuminating the mountains and cliffs. The ancient alien city beneath the surface stirred. The frozen structures glowing with power, shards of ice rose from the ground, spinning and forming bridges between the cliffs and the core. Machines and humans alike stopped, sensing something greater. Eli looked at the core through the link. It was alive, aware, and it spoke. Not with words, but with thought. "The time has come. Unite or perish." Siren's voice flowed into him, stronger than ever. "They recognize us now. Ele, the last of my kind and your humanity. They see the link." He felt a surge of energy in his chest, pulsing like a second heartbeat. "This is our fight," he whispered. Her presence filled his mind, comforting, fearless. "Yes. Together," she said softly, "we can end this." Eli raised his hands, and the energy barrier expanded, stretching over the entire fleet. The ships shook violently as the link reached into their systems. He could see the machines, once dormant, now reactivating, frozen again under his influence. The humans were powerless, watching something they couldn't understand. He let a calm voice flow through the link, reaching into their minds. "Do not fight what you cannot comprehend. Do not destroy what you cannot understand." The commander's expression changed, fear turning into awe. "Lieutenant, what are you?" she whispered. Eli smiled faintly. "Something new. Something they will never control." Then the core pulsed one last time, and the ice city beneath them opened fully. Massive crystalline structures rose from the ground like towers of light. Energy cascaded in rivers across the frozen plains. The machines froze completely, their red eyes flickering and fading. The humans fell to their knees, overwhelmed by the power of something far beyond their understanding. Eli looked at Siren. Her glow radiated within him, stronger than ever. "I feel everything," he said. "Her memories, her thoughts, her strength. We are unbreakable together." The commander raised her hands slowly, surrendering. "Eli, we can't fight this. We don't understand," she said quietly. He nodded, still glowing, still pulsing with light. "Then learn. And listen," he said. The core's voice filled his mind again. "Guardians of the last dawn. Your link is the bridge between worlds. Eli understood. The machines were not evil, not by themselves. They were creation gone astray, waiting for someone to guide them, and the humans. Humans could be saved from themselves. If they learned, if they accepted. He turned to Siren, the warmth of her mind flooding him. Are you ready? He asked. Yes, she said softly. For the first time in 1,000 years. Yes, together, they raised their hands, directing the combined energy of the core, their link, and their hearts toward the horizon. A wave of light exploded outward, faster than sound, brighter than a star. Machines deactivated, weapons melted harmlessly. Energy fields collapsed, human ships powered down, their crews trembling, overwhelmed by the brilliance of something they had never known. And then, silence, only the gentle hum of the core, like a heartbeat of the world itself. Eli looked at Siren, his chest still glowing, her energy flowing through him. We did it, he whispered. She smiled faintly. No. They did it, the core and our link together, he nodded, feeling a weight lift from his soul. For the first time, he felt whole, part human, part alien, and something beyond both. The humans slowly approached, awed, cautious. The commander stepped forward, bowing her head. You saved us, she said quietly. Not just your people, not just the core. You saved humanity itself. Eli nodded. We saved the future. Together, the core pulsed softly again, golden light streaming through the ice. And Eli felt Siren's presence like never before, calm, strong, eternal. You will carry me now, she whispered. I know, he said, his voice firm, and I will honor you. Always. Her light wrapped around him completely, merging fully with his being. He felt her strength, her memories, her laughter, her love, and then she was not just beside him. She was inside him. Their link complete, unbreakable, eternal, outside. The first dawn broke over the ice moon. Golden sunlight touched the frozen cliffs. The human fleet and the glowing alien city below. The storm was gone. Replaced by hope, Eli stood tall. Glowing faintly blue and gold, he could feel every heartbeat of the world, the humans, the machines, the ancient core beneath the ice. And in the quiet, he whispered, Together, we begin again. And far above, in orbit, the stars themselves seemed to shift, recognizing something new had risen, a hybrid. A guardian, a bridge between worlds. Humanity would never be the same. And neither would the stars. The last dawn had arrived.